There's a reason why 26 of the most physically fit women in the Marine Corps have failed out of this course. That reason is simple. When you put 120 pounds on the back of a woman, she crumbles like a crouton.
Men and women just aren't the same, and that's okay. Now you can heed that advice, ow, or you can F around and find out. Ow. Ooh.
Worry about how during the weigh-ins for an Army combative tournament in Iraq, an Army private first class and a male captain performing the weigh-ins got into an argument. The captain told the PFC that there was a female captain in his weight class and he was sure to lose to her. The PFC humbly smiled and told the captain, "You don't know me." The guy wanted to put the girl into one move that would be sure to make her tap out. However, he ended up choking her until she was unconscious. After about 30 seconds into executing the chokehold, the PFC realized the female captain had passed out. The way she was positioned didn't allow the referee to see the girl's face and tell that she was out before the man released the choke. However, after seeing the purple face, he put his hands over his head as the referee called for a medic. Turned out the PFC was not even level 1 combative certified.
Nobody knew that this guy had twice competed in the Pan American Jiu-Jitsu tournament. But if men and women are the same, should it really matter? And the captain was so mad at him, he refused to shake his hand.
Women don't belong in combat jobs. That's as simple as I can state that. Now, JoJo here says a female member of my family served in combat. She went through the exact same rigorous training as her male counterparts. She passed all of it, and then she went out there and put her life on the line for all of us. So anyone who says women shouldn't serve in combat can off. Well, I guess that means me, because JoJo, no, she didn't. Because in every school in the United States military, with the exception of Ranger School and other special operations trainings, the female standards are lower than the male standards, meaning that women can be less fit, fast, and strong and still attain the same passing grade that men do. But when your standards are lower and you're not as fit, fast, or strong as your male counterparts, that makes you a less capable warfighter. That makes you lesser than. Now, JoJo, you want this to be true? That's fine. Give women the exact same physical standards that men have. Make women achieve the same standards in the PT test, the same standards in everything we do, and then you'll have equality.
The different standards for men and women are fine for high school gym class, but we're talking about life and death situations here. It's completely inappropriate.
You consider yourself a feminist?
As a nice, easy answer, yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that women, if we were to get into a war, should be enlisted in the draft?
No.
I don't really have like an opinion on it. Like, I feel like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I don't think women should be drafted because at the end of the day, it wouldn't really help the war in any much way. Like you said, the drone.
Whoa, that's a really sexist statement of you to
No,
make.
because like I'm making frontline physical, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're saying, oh, should they have a place in the war? Yeah, I feel like if a woman wants to be able to be in the war.
We're talking about force though, right?
Yeah, no force.
So then for those of you that said you were feminists, do you see any inconsistency between saying that you want equality, but you're cool with sending men to run into machine guns to protect your society? Does anyone wrestle with that?
How do you reconcile that? Yeah.
Women should absolutely not serve in combat roles in the military. And I say this as somebody that is a decorated U.S. Army infantryman. I had a combat infantry badge, and I have 2 deployments in the Middle East. Women should not be serving in combat roles because, number one, most of the time, they are just not strong enough to do so. Now, when I served in my infantry unit, it was all male. They do not allow women in the combat infantry. And one of the reasons is because they're not physically capable enough to do the job. And the push to shove women into combat roles in the military has nothing to do with whether or not women actually really wanted to do this. It has to do a lot with the woke agenda that has been pushed through the military during the Biden administration and probably over these past 10 years. And if you look into the women that really have been placed into these combat roles, all of the qualifications, both physical and everything else, have been lessened so that these women can be there and so that, you know, the Biden administration and all of these people could get some woke points. It's just not a place where women belong.
If women are drafted to the military, I am most excited to see the confrontation between commanding officers and the girls. You think we're gonna let you yell at us? You think we're gonna do something without a please and thank you? We've all had controlling ex-boyfriends. We know not to put up with that bull. Like, let's sit down and have a conversation about what you want and what I want, and we'll reach a happy medium. Because there's no way I'm doing what you want when you use that tone with me. You think you can push us around like you do with these men? Think again, baby. You're gonna learn some manners.
Because in those ground combat roles, what is true is that the weight of the ruck on your back doesn't change. The weight of the 155 round that you have to carry doesn't change. The weight of the 240 Bravo machine gun you might have to carry doesn't change. And so whether it's a man or a woman, they have to meet the same high standards. And Senator, in any place where those things have been eroded or in courses, criteria have been changed in order to meet quotas, racial quotas or gender quotas, that is putting a focus on something other than readiness, standards, meritocracy, and lethality. So
there are over 200,000 American women who serve in active duty service right now, thousands of them in frontline combat roles. You were one of them. Do your colleagues who sit with you on armed services believe that Mr. Hegseth's statement there is an issue that he needs to perhaps retract?
Well, I think they need to because he's wrong. Our military could not go to war without the 220,000 plus women who serve in uniform. The women in our military does make us more effective. And so he's just flat out wrong. Our military could not go to war without the women who wear this uniform. And frankly, America's daughters are just as capable of defending liberty and freedom as her sons.
Having served in combat yourself, what do you think of the idea that women make fighting more complicated? That was specifically what he focused on.
Well, it just shows his lack of understanding of where our military is. You know, he was a pretty low-ranking guy in the military, and he never had a command position. He was a platoon leader, I think, once or twice, but he never even commanded a company. And so this is a man who is inordinately unqualified for the position. Women actually make our military more effective.
Keep telling yourself that, darling.
This woman is getting on my nerves because she's completely strawmanning his argument. He's not saying that women shouldn't be in the military. He's specifically talking about combat roles. And he's not wrong.
As a woman that was in a combat MOS, they do not belong there. We don't belong in combat. I was a 12 Bravo combat engineer. They all the time had to make sure there was a place for me to use the bathroom because I was the only female in 10 miles. They catered to me for everything, making sure that things were set up for female standards. Because when it's just all dudes, you can focus on the mission, not worried about, well, we need to accommodate for a female being with us. And look, I'm a bad chick, but that is hard. And I know that there's women that can handle it. I could definitely to an extent, but there are some things that I just could not do. A lot of women probably can't do it. And then when I became pregnant, that was it. You can't do anything that relates to your MOS, and then what? You just lose all the training that you had. You miss out on training, and you miss out on the camaraderie that the training brings.
Captain Katie Petronio played ice hockey in college. She squats 200 pounds and benches 145 pounds. She's already seen combat, 2 tours, one in Iraq and an even tougher one in Afghanistan. She ranked 4th out of 52 candidates in Officer Candidate School.
I wrote this article because 5 years ago, when I finished the basic school and just pinned on as an officer, I would have fully supported integration of females into the infantry. After 2 combat deployments, my perspective on this has completely changed.
Women will go through this combat endurance test, which has elements similar to the hand-to-hand combat shown here in this Army training video. And Captain Petronio worries that as the Department of Defense looks at ways to level the playing field for women, they may be harming female troops in the end. 2 combat tours taught her she wasn't physically as capable as her male counterparts.
I found that I broke down and had muscle atrophy and weight loss at a much faster rate and noticeable rate than my male Marines. I found myself tripping constantly, my legs buckling, falling during firefights, having a hard time responding to enemy contact as far as my response time from when I initially got to country.
I think I'm a little bit more extreme than Pete Hegseth here. I don't think that women should be in combat at all, even if you can meet the standards. Women are always going to be a distraction for multiple reasons. One is just the innate desire in men to protect women. You have to deal with men being basically genetically programmed to protect women, similar to how women are genetically programmed to protect children. There's going to be attraction, and then once a month it's Shark Week. Once a month, don't even look at me funny, because there's going to be some problems. So that's a whole nother issue that men don't have to deal with that women do. And imagine having to be out and not being able to shower during your ladies' days. No. No, not back there, Leroy. Come here. Come up here. Oh, Leroy. All right. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Oh my gosh. Leroy, you are all over the place today.